I saw a Lada Niva growing up, I thought it was the coolest car I've ever seen in my life. And the reason for that is just its raw simplicity. It's like it's 100% function and 0% styling. I don't know if any designer actually had a part in this. It looks like it was all designed by engineers. And I think that's cool. It's kind of the same thing with the Ford Ranger, the first generation. Every time I see it out in the streets, I think it's a perfect pickup. I would love to have a 5-speed manual Ford Ranger in mint condition, maybe a 2000 and 2001 or something like that one day. But that's a completely different topic. So what are the changes we're gonna do to this Lada Niva today? The problem is, if we want to modernize this, we have two ways we can go. We can either take this shape and just clean it up and kind of update the lights and the wheels and the mirrors and all the details, or we can create a completely new design language for a Lada that's never been seen before. But to me, I think it's more fun to keep the original shape of this and the original kind of the rawness and simplicity of it. So what I'm gonna do is try to find the unique design features of this car. So if I ask you, if you were to modernize this car, what would you take into consideration design-wise? As if you look at the features right here, it's kind of tricky because it's such a simple design. It doesn't really have any specific design features. One thing that sticks out to me though are these indicators up here. The placements of them and that they are right above the headlights. That's kind of a unique touch of the Lada Niva that I'm gonna keep in this video. And also I kind of want to have this integrated to the grille, so have this whole area be a black grille. And also we're gonna update the headlights, make them more modern into LEDs or whatever you want. And also the wheels, they look very functional, but they're very ugly as well. So I'm gonna change those, something modern, maybe put some off-road tires from a Wrangler or something like that on there. These tiny windshield wipers here, they look like you can just take them like this and just break them off very easily. Same thing with the side mirrors, so we're gonna change those as well. Also the handle for the door looks way too old school, need to update that. This little indicator right here, and also these bumpers need to go, because to me they look like those bumpers that, if you remember the 60s, 70s, and I think 80s too, if you imported a car from Europe to the US, take example the BMW M535i, or the 6 Series, the old 6 Series. In Europe, they had very sleek bumpers in the front and rear. And then you took them to the US, some regulation here that I don't really know what regulation it is, but they required you to put some benches. You could literally have a picnic on the rear and the front bumper of the US version of those European cars. And these bumpers kind of remind me of that. So I want to get rid of those and integrate the bumpers more into this new shape that we're going to design. So that's about it. Keep the raw simplicity, update everything into modern stuff, and keep the basic shape of it as it is. And that's what we're gonna do. Let's see how this goes. The Lada Niva must be one of the most versatile cars ever built. Let me show you what I mean. They made an awesome 5-door version, a pickup truck, an official pace car, a rally car, an ambulance. It was used as a fire truck, and a special version was even built to go and explore the Antarctic. So that's pretty much what we have to deal with in this redesign. It has to be extremely functional. It's not going to be a redesign that you would see in the Geneva Motor Show, for example. One of those concepts that just have a bunch of new stuff that's never going to get built. I want this to have the same basic shape. I just want to clean up the body, update the details, and especially the front, work on that and make it identifiable as a Lada from first sight. One funny thing to note, that when this was first introduced in 71, it was rejected for being too utilitarian. So guess what the designers and engineers did? They added doors and a hardtop to make it usable for the public. So the first prototypes did not even have doors or a roof. But obviously, if you're gonna sell this to the public, that's kind of things that you would want in a car that you would buy and drive every day. So they thought, okay, let's add a couple of doors and throw a roof on it and let's sell this thing. During the development, it was tested over years in super rough conditions in Siberia and former Soviet Union. And the tests show that it could climb a 58% slope it could pass through 60 centimeters of water and 100 centimeters, that's 1 meter of mud or snow, easily. So this little thing, even though it might look weak, it's a beast in disguise. Now, safety is a completely different topic when it comes to the Lada Niva. In a 2002 crash test, it received 0 out of 4 stars by the Russian RCAP. But Vaz, the manufacturer, they said that you can't expect a 30-year-old design to receive a top rating in crash tests, and that they were expecting it to be very low. So that's reassuring to know, just if in case you ever want to own one of these Lada Nivas. Now, talking about this design that we're working on here, as I said in the intro, I want to keep the unibody shape. This was actually the first mass-produced off-road vehicle to combine a unibody architecture with a coil-sprung independent front suspension, and pretty much every single crossover SUV after this Lada Niva uses that same setup. So I wanted to keep that layout and work mostly with the graphics of the front and integrate those top indicators into the grille and the fascia itself. You know, I've always been a fan of these simple cars. As I mentioned also in the intro, the Ford Ranger has always been one of those cars that whenever I see them out on the road, I just appreciate them for their simplicity and straight functionality. There's not a lot of styling going on. And to me, it's one of those cars that would be an extra in video games, such as if you, for example, ever played Need for Speed. You have these generic cars that just drive around on the tracks, and if they had a pickup, that generic pickup truck would pretty much be a Ford Ranger. And that's kind of why I love that car. It's such a simple car. There's not much to it, and it doesn't have to make a lot of noise, because it's cool as it is. And the same goes with this Lada Niva. It has the same kind of feeling, and cars are simply not built this way anymore. We have all these luxury features even in economy cars, and there aren't a lot of cars left that have this rawness to them. And I think cars like this are actually going to go up a lot in value the coming years. So right now I'm just working on the design to make it more sleek and more modern looking by removing all those 70s and 80s creases that were very common on cars back in the day. And as always, I'm using a simple airbrush to do this. The airbrush gives those smooth transitions that I'm looking for. And right here I'm removing the toothpick windshield wipers to just have it more clean. And we can say that the new modern wipers are hidden underneath the bonnet there, because I know some people in the comments are gonna say, how are you going to wash your windshield without any wipers? But hey, they are hidden behind the bonnet right there, so don't worry about that. And this is of course the redesign of the side mirror. Wanted to make it more rugged. If we're gonna go off-roading with this car, you need some rugged side view mirrors, not ones that are gonna break off every time you hit a branch. So that's what I'm doing right here. It could be solid plastic. If you have a sport version, why not put some carbon fiber on there? You can never go wrong with carbon fiber, so let's just go with that. And now it's time to put some sweet looking wheels on this. I took these straight off a Jeep Wrangler, and I think they fit this car very well. They look really cool. Just need to do some color adjustments to them, because as you can see, they have some warm tones to them, and I don't like warm tones, especially if it's a Russian or Soviet Lada. They don't like warm tones at all, so let's make them a bit cooler in shade and also make them fit the overall coloring of this image and add some shading to them. So if you have the front fender or the rear fender, you have them hanging over the wheel and you have the light source coming from the top, that obviously means that the top part of the tire is going to have a cast shadow on it from the fenders. So I'm gonna add that later on. And those are kind of details that you have to think about if you want to make a car illustration or rendering like this look real. You have to always think about the light source and always think about the different surfaces, what surface will cast a shadow where, and that's pretty much the only way you can get a rendering to look semi-real. So right now I'm gonna jump in and cool those tires off. You're gonna see that here in just a second. Right now, and you just go into color balance in Photoshop and just slide those sliders around to the cooler tones. Obviously you need to have whatever it is you're working on in one single layer, because whatever layer you have selected, that's the one layer that is going to be affected. by whatever modification you do to it. And now I'm gonna work on the front headlights. As I said in the beginning, I wanted to keep the indicators be in the same position, and also the headlights be in the same position as the original Lada Niva. So I wanted to modernize that, obviously, and I do that by adding these LED lights, and also the indicators, I want them to be LED. And of course, later on, I'm gonna jump into a color dodge layer to make them shine and look cool, so that it looks like the headlights are turned on. But first of all, we need to refine the front of this car, the fascia. I'm adding the grille, and one simple way to do this is if you have several items or features of the car that are the same, such as all these bars in the grille, for example, you just have to do one, and then all you got to do is just copy the layer over and over. So if you have, in this case, we have 6 different bars, I just need to make one layer and define that and finish that, and then I just copy that layer 6 times and just move them around in the correct position of where I want them to be. Also wanted to add this tow hook in the front because, hey, it's a utilitarian vehicle, so it needs to be very user-friendly, especially when you're out in the woods off-roading and doing some fun stuff. And if you get stuck, you can have your buddy just tow you out of there. So that's what I'm doing right here, this little tongue sticking out of the front. And this is what I was talking about earlier, to add the shade on the tires to make them fit the image and keep the lighting correct in the image. Because right now they're too light, so I want to darken them in the spots that are going to be in the shade. And there we go, guys. This was the redesign of the Lada Niva. We're pretty much done. All I got left now is to make it shine, add some, you know, my favorite part of these videos is this final step here, where I add all the highlights, I add the overlay glossy layers on top of this, and also turn the headlights on. I really hope you enjoyed this video just as much as I enjoyed making it, and keep those recommendations of cars to redesign coming, because I read all of them, and I think I might be starting a new series where I take fan cars and redesign them into something cool. If you think that's a good idea, let me know in the comments below. I'm very happy with this result. This is definitely a car that I would drive on a daily basis. I'm the Sketch Monkey. I hope you have a fantastic day. Thank you so much for watching, and if you like these kind of videos, check out my playlist called Car Makeovers. I have a bunch of these now in there that I think you're gonna enjoy if you like this video. Have a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next video. Take it easy.